What's up guys, and welcome back to Tech Lab. So as a big fan of the Fractal design cases, when I saw this one come up from Techwear, which looks very similar to the Meshify series, I thought I just had to get one and take a look and see how good it is. So this is the Forge M from Techwear. It's a micro ATX case that costs roughly about £40 to £50 depending on where you buy it from, which is about half the price of a Meshify C. The reason we compare it to a Meshify is because it has this full mesh front, which is of all these little angles, so it looks just similar to a Meshify C or a Meshify C Mini. In fact, because it's actually a micro ATX case, it's probably closer to the Meshify C Mini anyway. If we do a bit of a walk around of the case, obviously we can see from the front it's a full mesh, so we're going to get plenty of airflow. On the top, we've got the standard I/O that you would see on most cases, from your power button, reset button. There's also an LED button because they do many different versions of this that include ARGB fans, whereas this one is just the base model that you get, which actually just comes with normal fans. You have a removable dust filter on top and enough place to put a 240mm radiator. But one thing that they did do that was a little bit of a surprise compared to the standard Meshify C is that the I/O ports are actually in the case itself, not in the front panel. So when you remove the front panel, you don't have to worry about all those extra wires and things. From the side, it's a little bit different again because they've actually given it a hinged door, which is really good because I really like the hinged doors. They're easy to remove. You can actually get into your system pretty quick instead of having to undo screws and things if you need to fix anything or add anything to the system. So that's pretty cool too. If we remove the door and take a look inside, there are some other differences as well. So it does have a basement that's got lots of airflow, and you can actually fit 220mm fans in the bottom there, but you've also got a little hole for your power supply, so you can actually see the label on the power supply, which you don't tend to get with the Meshify series at all. Obviously in this case, because it's a micro ATX, you can get away with fitting an ITX or a micro ATX board. And if we look at the back, we can see it's got the standard layout as any general case does really. So we've got the I/O shield port there. We have up to 4 PCI slots, your power supply will go in the bottom, and we have enough space for a 120mm fan in the back there. On the bottom, it's not as fancy as Meshify, so you don't have that slide out anti-dust filter, but you do have a full length dust filter that just clips in with some little clips on the sides, which is generally a bit of a sign of a budget case more than anything, but it works and it's quite effective. If we take the back panel off, we can have a look at the different space in the back. We can simply remove it with these thumb screws, so again it's toolless entry, not as fancy as the window, but it's toolless entry anyway. The back panel is actually flat, so there's no actual concaved section for cable management, which means they must have actually included the space inside the case itself, which again I really like. And that's what the back looks like there. So there's plenty of space in here. There's probably about 3/4 of an inch of space for all your cable management, and they've included all the different cable routing options, which is sometimes missing off some of the budget cases, which is a fantastic piece too. There's also some extra clips and things for extra hard drive caddies and things like that, although they didn't come with it. What you generally get is two 2.5 SSD mounts in the front here. And then you get your hard drive caddy at the bottom, just like many different budget cases, which includes a space for a 3.5-inch drive, just one, or a space for another 2.5-inch drive that you can actually mount to the top. Now, to take that bottom panel out, it's very similar to other cases. We simply just unscrew these thumb screws from the bottom, and it will slide out, and I'll let you put your hard drives in and slide it back in again. Cabling that comes with this isn't very clean or tidy to begin with. They've actually tied it down, and you get lots of bags of screws and extra pieces like that, which is all good for the budget case that you get. Now, to remove the front of this case, it's simply you just pull the front off. Although it's a bit tight. And there we have the front there. Now there's no additional dust filtering involved in this one. Just like the Meshify, they tend to have an extra soft pad in the back, which you can take out and clean, but these ones don't. So it's always worth considering adding a little bit more dust filtering if you want to the fans, which you can do quite easily and cheaply. As a base model, it doesn't come with any ARGB or RGB fans, but it does come with 4 Techwear 120mm fans pre-installed, and they've actually routed the cables really well on this. They've taken it through the right channels and they've installed them pretty much as I would if I was doing it from scratch. So That's pretty good quality all round, and they've done most of the work for you, which is excellent. Unfortunately, the fans do come with a daisy chain of 4 Molex, which isn't brilliant, but they have actually included on each one the 3-pin motherboard header plugs, which means what I tend to do is I generally just cut the 4 pins off and then route it either to a controller, so all the fans can be controlled via a remote control, or I'd run that controller from the motherboard and then I can control it all from the motherboard. So that's great that they've actually included that feature. Sometimes budget cases don't do that, they just give you the Molex, and then your fans are pretty much stuck at one speed and it's not so good. You end up replacing the fans, but you don't need to on this one. It's got and giving you everything that you want. Now, I've had some Tecware fans in the past, some 120mm, and they're not too bad. They are reasonably quiet, but they don't tend to last too long. So I'm not sure how these ones will do. These are a much upgraded version to what I've had before. So we'll give it a test and we'll see what they're like. So I think what we'll do next is we'll build a quick system into this and we'll go through some of the issues that I've had while doing it. And we're back. So we've thrown a quick little system in here. It's actually quite basic. It comprises of an MSI B50 Micro ATX motherboard, a Ryzen 3600 with a Wraith Prism cooler, and an XFX RX 470. Now this RX 470 was actually donated to the channel. So, and if you're one of our regular subscribers, you've probably seen me post about it in our Discord. We're going to be doing some more videos on that later because it does have some issues and we're going to see if we can fix it. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see them, and then we'll do a bit of benchmarking and see what the 470 can actually do. But back to the case. The build actually took about 20 minutes in total. It was really quick and easy to do. This motherboard in particular is quite wide, so the extra standoffs that they provide with the case actually come in handy because we had to use them. And everything else went pretty smoothly. Cable management was really, really easy. There's a lot of space in the back of this case for cable management, and even with just a very basic setup you can see we've got it pretty tidy already. The only one thing that's outstanding is this big chunk of Molexes which are all stringed together for the fans, which are on, and they're actually on full speed because they're connected to the Molex, and they're pretty quiet. You can't hear them much at all. They provide a lot of airflow into the system, and we didn't actually include any other peripherals on this build. It's simply running from an M.2 drive on the motherboard, so we didn't have to actually put any extra cabling in. But as you can see, we've got all of the front I/O and USBs really tidily down the front, and they pin to lots of little clips that they provide you in the case. We've got the 24 pin, which is actually tied to them really nicely as well, and we just simply loop them down through the basement, which has got plenty of room to be able to store lots of extra cables, because after all of our extra Molex and SATA cables are tucked well into there because we haven't got a fully modular power supply. This is one that is actually got full cabled up. So as you can see, it's pretty tidy all round. The CPU power cable just runs up the back, and there's plenty of space into the back to actually tuck it in. That's not even pinned to the actual back plate. It pretty much just squeezes into that gap and stays there pretty well. I actually like this case a lot. I think what I'm going to do is actually keep it. I'm going to do some more cable management on it, and we're going to actually convert it into one for the studio to control some of the screens and some of the extra cameras and things. I tend to have Meshify cases all around, so I use the Fractal Meshify cases because I like them so much, and this one actually comes out quite well. You can tell it's a budget case. It's not as heavy as the Fractal cases. Some of the actual features are very budget in the way that they've been created, not like the Fractals where everything's just plug and play and you can slide things in and out. But overall, it's actually a really good case to build into, and for the price, I can't complain at all. If you've got any questions about this case, make sure you drop them in the comments below, because like I said before, I'm going to be keeping this case around and I'll be able to check up and hopefully answer them questions too. But until then, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give this video a like if you like the information in it, and I'll see you again soon.